What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the show. I am Tony, here to do Movies That Need a Sequel Part 2. This is actually a Part 2 to a video that I did about a year ago. You probably saw it. I did a re-release of it. By the way, thank you guys for watching all the re-releases that I've been dropping. They're not necessarily like newer episodes, but they're not re-releases either. They're just episodes I did a year ago under a different channel. So thank you for enjoying those. Nobody liked them anyways on the other channel, so it's nice to see some love there. Now, let me be clear about something. Just like I said in the last video, this is basically all my opinion, dude. These are all movies that I think should get sequels. In some cases, they're more like, hey, it's not necessarily a sequel. It's like, hey, we should do something with this movie. Something with this property can be done. Or I'm going to gloss over it a little bit, but there are a few on this list that I will spend some time talking about. Now, in terms of honorable mentions, those are just ones that I'm like, I'm not going to go too deep into them. I'll just throw it out there and leave it at that. Like, that's something you can chew on. There you go. And somebody actually in the comment section on YouTube brought one of these up, so here's an honorable mention for you. Perfect example of a movie that needs a sequel. Dark City. I do agree that is one that we could definitely benefit from. Maybe not necessarily a sequel. You could do like a reboot or whatever, but we would really benefit from something of that nature. Another honorable mention is Edge of Tomorrow. I'm okay if there's nothing being done with it, but seeing something that actually happens would be cool too. All right. Now, the last honorable mention is The Other Guys, which I loved that movie, dude. That was a really good comedy. I would kill for just something from it. You know what I mean? I just kind of want to see where Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg's characters are in the future, because that movie came out a long time ago, dude, but it would be cool just to see something get done with it. Now, onto the official list. These are movies that I think would benefit from getting a sequel or just something done with it. Like I said, some I'll go into, some I'm going to gloss over. One that I really, really want to talk about, Dread. So somebody actually brought this up in the TikTok comment section. I remember seeing this movie when I was in high school, dude. I think I was either a junior or a senior. Man, I loved it. And here's the thing. I grew up in the 90s, so I did get to experience Judge Dredd with Stallone. But here's the thing. I liked Stallone, and I loved the comic, so it was stupid, and it didn't really follow the comic, dude. It really was just Stallone being Stallone. However, I still enjoyed it. It's a weird movie, dude. Just watch it. You'll enjoy it. You'll have some fun with it, dude. It's really corny. It's really just, it's goofy as hell. But Dredd is the real thing. Dredd is what we wanted, because Judge Dredd didn't give us that. So Dredd comes out. Carl Urban plays him, which is so interesting, dude, because it's a role that they specifically said you need to wear. Basically, you have to have the judge helmet or mask at all times, and that covers your identity. Now, in the first film that they had done, Stallone didn't like that, so he wanted to take it off most of the time, basically. So it was cool to see that we had Carl Urban, who was not like an A-list at the time, but he was pretty well known by that point, dude. He had been in like Red, he had done Star Trek. He was well known at that point. It was interesting to see him take that and just say, yeah, I can do it, like no issue. And man, he did great. I thought he was awesome, dude. He was, in my opinion, dude, he's the best so far. I would love to see him come back for something. Now, what would you do, right? It's been some time. We're clearly like 10 so years in the future, right? We just start out there. He's still going. He's much older, though. He's kind of getting run down. And, you know, there's somebody out there that knows it, who is in a part of a rising gang that wants to take over the city. Something like that. Something along those lines. I think you could do something like that if you play into the fact that he is much older, but no origin story, no really picking up on the last film. You could do it like that. Make it take place 12, 15 years in the future, but, you know, just jump right back into the action. Have Carl Urban don the fucking helmet, whatever you call it. Bring the judge back, dude. It would be cool to see something a little outside of the landscape of what we got in the first film, which was them being in that entire high-rise apartment building. Take it outside into the city, literally into the streets. That would be cool. This next one I also have been dying to talk about. The Thing. Now, somewhere in the early 2000s, they had reported that there was talks about John Carpenter wanting to do a sequel to The Thing, and how he was planning to explain the age, because, you know, time had gone on, was that they were frozen, and so that Kurt Russell and Keith David's characters would be found, and then, you know, they'd be thawed out, and it's like, oh yeah, because of the fact that they froze, it basically aged, they advanced, or something along the lines of that. It had to do with being frozen. That would explain why they grew so old. But anyway, at the time, it was cool because they weren't that old like they are now. So I'm pretty sure they're both like 70, 80. But the thing is we ended up getting a bullshit prequel. I'm sorry, dude. It wasn't amazing. Like, I like it. I have respect for it now, but that's not what I wanted. Do I think there's time left for a sequel to this? Yes. But the problem is it is going to be more of like a reboot. I say that, yes, it has something to do with, the events of the first film. Maybe make it take place modern day, and there is a new research facility there. And, it's on the same site where the old one was. And then, like, as the events unfold, as the thing that's underground basically gets thought out by this fucking group when they figure out it's underneath them, they start to learn about the past events from the first film. And, like, that's an easy way to do it. It's kind of like the prequel, basically. But we got to do something with it. And it has to be meaningful, too. That's the thing. That's why it's so hard. It's like, how do you do something like that? Because you really don't have a chance of catching lightning in a bottle like twice. It's very rare, dude. And even then, like, you're not gonna be able to catch it 3 times, because even if they made a sequel and it's really, really good, there's a chance they make a third one and it sucks. You know what I mean? There's a chance that, like, Blumhouse gets this and you're like, no, oh no, they're violating it. Like, no. And, the whole fan base is just looking up in horror as the thing is just being molested on screen, dude. Like, there's a chance it could suck and ruin everything. So, do I want a sequel personally? Yes. I just think that it's time to at least try something. However, it is risky. I'm willing to admit that, because I hear some of you screaming right now like that's retarded, but it is risky. I admit. Another one that I really have been dying to talk about, dude. A lot of these are ones that I'm like, what the fuck? Where is the sequel? Dude, okay, so this one's kind of weird. You guys ever seen a movie called The Collector? Yeah, well, they did a second one called The Collection, I believe. And, it was more of a fun house compared to the first one. The first one, if you had never seen it before, like, I walked into it, I had never seen it or heard about it. I only heard that, like, so what my friends told me is when this movie came out, because I was in, like, middle school, high school at the time, they were like, hey, yo, it's from the same guys that did Saw. Well, like 4, 5, and 6 and all that shit. The new team, basically. And I was like, all right, I'll check it out. Dude, it gave me anxiety. It made me really, like, panicked and shit. Like, I was sweating watching it. Made me uncomfortable. I really just didn't enjoy watching it at first glance. You know what I mean? I had to watch it 2 and 3 times over to really pay attention to the story. And, like, dude, I ended up falling in love with it. It was really, really good. But here's the thing. It was so good that they left it, like, open, and then they made the sequel, and I was like, all right, I can't wait to see the sequel. I'm in now at this point. The sequel's good, but it really is, like, I'm not saying that it's as good as the movie Aliens, but it does feel like that transition. If you grew up watching Alien, it felt like a horror film, and then you watch Aliens and it feels like an action movie. It's kind of off, right? But it's cool at the same time. That's the best way to explain this shit, dude. However, it ends really weird, and you're like, dude, it's time for another one. And they were talking about making another one. Supposedly, they got a whole cast and crew together, with Tom Atkins, by the way, and then they didn't do anything. Like, I don't know what the story is on it. I just know that it did not end up getting taken off the ground. So they axed that shit. Where the fuck is the third movie to this? Dude, this is easy. Bring back the characters from the old film. I don't know how you're going to do it, but what if he didn't die? This spoils it a little bit for you if you haven't seen these movies, but at the end of The Collection, our main victim finds the bad guy, finally. And he's going to kill him. It's implied. And so, we don't actually necessarily know if he does kill him. You could make it where this pervert, that's the best way to explain this fucking weird character. Dude, the villain, the mask, it's like a gimp mask. It is so weird. Watch The Collector first and then The Collection, and you'll understand what I'm saying. You can easily just make it to where, what if he got away? I think you could do something where, like, what if he actually didn't kill him? And we'll explain it later. You know what I mean? Like, what if our killer is basically successful in getting away? It's been some time now. Fast forward, obviously, you can't make it take place 2 years. It's 10 or so years later, right? He's still killing people. He's still doing shit, and then we find some new group of victims, and who knows, at that point, you'll turn it into a fucking franchise. You'll get a bunch of them at that point. And I think it's time for that, dude. The first 2 are pretty good films. The first one's the best, obviously. But it's worth it. We need more of those. Like, those are so much cooler than Saw. I love Saw, don't get me wrong, but The Collection and The Collector, those are so fucking cool. On to the next, though. Upgrade, dude. This one is a creepy-ass movie, dude. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but I had watched it because, like, I'd played the game Cyberpunk, and I was like, I want to watch a Cyberpunk movie. So I started watching like RoboCop 2, RoboCop 3. And I was trying to think of other like Cyberpunk movies I could watch. And somebody mentioned this. They're like, it's kind of Cyberpunk. It's very like futuristic. And they were like, you're going to like it. It's not what you think it is. And the ending you will not see coming, I promise. I watched it. They were right, dude. This movie is a straight up like thriller, horror, action. It's a bunch of different genres. Man, it's good. And the actor that plays our main character, I think it's Logan Marshall or I can't remember, but dude, he is a good actor. He was in Prometheus, and I remember him from that, and I was like, okay, yeah. And Devil, he's in the movie Devil, or it's the one where they're on the fucking elevator and they meet Satan, basically. Yeah, he's in that. So in Upgrade, it ends where he goes into limbo, essentially. He goes crazy. He goes nuts. And STEM, or whatever it was called, the little thing that's put into his spine to help tell his body to move because he's paralyzed, takes over entirely, like takes over his conscience and all that, and kills the cop, kills everybody involved, and it's just like, all right, free into the world I go. Dude, you can do anything with that. You can do a plethora of things with that. You could literally do whatever the fuck you wanted with that. That is why we have not seen a sequel is nuts. I don't know why we're waiting for that, dude. There is so much you can do with that. Please bring something. You could do anything, dude. I honestly pitch like this motherfucker has been out and about for 5 years, randomly killing people, doing all sorts of acts of evil for just personal gain because they want to take over and destroy the world, basically. They want to run the world. And, there's some detective that eventually picks up on it. Like, there's a pattern here, and then figures it out, and there we go. We got a story. We got some sort of story. Or at the very least, homeboy wakes up and is no longer in limbo, and he starts having like an inner battle with the fucking AI chip in his neck. You could totally do a bunch of different things with it, dude. But in hindsight, if you watch it like a bunch of times, you start to realize how beautiful it is. And you're like, I don't think I really would want a sequel to it because I'm afraid, again, that it's going to suck. However, dude, it's one of those movies that it warrants a sequel. You just can't leave it like that. So Hollywood, whatever you're doing, sequel, please, for the love of God, to Upgrade. This next one, I don't care what anyone says, Dodgeball. I went to the theaters to see Dodgeball with my dad. And I remember since then that they have talked about a sequel for fucking years, dude. To this day, they've been talking about it. And all I know is that they have done like a commercial at one point. I believe it was a commercial, or it was something. It was some sort of event where it was like a kind of continuation, like a reunion. There we go. But it wasn't a fucking sequel, like a movie. I want a Dodgeball 2. Come on, it's time. Why not? Ben Stiller gets into shape. He goes back down and he's looking for Average Joe. He finds out that Average Joe, this man's a millionaire now or whatever. And he's like, you know what? I want to cripple your empire. This time I'm the underdog. Like, dude, that is so fucking, why not? Like, it would be kind of funny to see. You could even add a whole new villain in there, dude. Have Adam Sandler come in as some douchebag character that's also like a big wig gym owner that wants to put Vince Vaughn's character out of business as well. Bring back all the characters from the first film. Why not, man? That is one that we need a sequel like ASAP. It has been a little too long. I mean, some of you I can tell already like, dude, all these movies are like 10, 15 years fucking old. Why do we need sequels now? And it's like, because they're getting older. When you hit the 20, 30 year mark, dude, no. All right. This one, I'm going to gloss over a little bit. As Above, So Below. I love the first one. It ended so abruptly and just odd, in such an odd manner. There's so much more left there. You could easily have, not the chick, but the boyfriend character. He could end up being in the story for the second one. Kind of like Give It the Hills Have Eyes 2, the OG treatment. Yeah, I know it's a shitty film, but you take that story and kind of put it here, but change it up a little bit. So basically you have him, he's traumatized. He wants to face his fears from that dreadful time he went to the catacombs. So he gets a whole group of friends with him, a whole new crew to take him down there to like show him, hey, dude, what you saw down there wasn't real. You're fine. And so he has to go back down there and shit just happens again. He's got to go right back to, oh, fuck, I need to figure out how to get out of here by myself again. Something like that. That's my pitch. Maybe you could do the chick instead of him, but I think he would be more interesting just because there was a lot to be said about him from the first film, like with the tragedy he had to deal with, like the grief. That's what haunted him, and that's what was haunting him in the catacombs. That would be beautiful to bring into the second film. But anyway, As Above, So Below, we really need that. Where the fuck is a sequel to that? That wasn't even that long ago. This one I talked about on the last one. It was an honorable mention, Inception. So for Inception, it would be more of like a reimagining. This would be a whole different type of sequel. First things first, don't bring back the original cast unless it really has anything to do with them. I would say for this sake, no, it doesn't. You could easily make this where the government now has their hands on that equipment that's used to implement Inception or put you into the dream world. They have it now, right? What if it was being used on American citizens? Or what if, it takes place in the future and a lot of people have access to it in their homes as well. And very few people are actually awake. And there is a way to shut it all down and wake these people up because they're all basically floating in sleep. They're in limbo. They're kind of falling deeper and deeper. And the select few that are still awake have the chance of fixing that. Hear me out, dude. If you believed that in the first film there was a machine with serum that could put you to sleep into a dream world where you can do anything, you can definitely believe me right now when I tell you that in the future people will have it in their homes. So this really isn't a sequel. It's kind of like its own thing, but it would exist within the world of Inception. You got a group of people that are looking for a way to stop all this madness. This is a wildly different type of sequel. But you could do something with it. Like, I just like the idea of Inception. Just the idea. That could be stolen, dude. And, like, governments could fight over it. There's so much you can do with that shit. Nolan would be fucking losing it. But it would still be cool to see if you're a nerd like me. I feel guilty even talking about it now, dude, to be quite honest with you. I realize how stupid it is the more I talk about it. But I think it's cool. Maybe some of you are on the same side. Maybe not. Now, here comes another one. Brightburn. Dude, this is a very easy one. This motherfucker needs a villain, needs an enemy who's a hero. Make it take place a couple years into the future, right? This motherfucker's visiting Earth and destroying it. He's going back to other planets because the government's fighting back finally. And there are some superheroes that exist out there that just haven't shown who they are. And they step up to the occasion. Who are those superheroes? You can easily make them up. Or you can combine properties and steal superheroes from other movies that weren't based on comics. Here's a good example. Hancock. Will Smith could be Hancock. Why not make the two worlds collide? It's easy. Like, Hancock wasn't rated R, but he's got to have some sort of enemy. That's really his enemy can't be the government. He can't be running from the government while destroying the world because this motherfucker's basically Superman, just evil. Where is the Brightburn sequel? Do something about it. Either it's that or they ended it in such a way that, like, if you really watch it, when there's like a newsreel and they're talking about all these random people you're seeing, like from the sea and stuff like that, there's a superhero in there. It's Rainn Wilson from the movie Super, dude. Like, it's his superhero character. And I'm like, okay, now that's fucking funny. There you go. There's your sequel. It's him and those other characters. Make it happen. All right. This, I got a couple more actually that I need to gloss over. I've been talking a lot. This one I am going to gloss over, but Constantine. And here's the reason why. I'm not sure I want a straight sequel with Keanu Reeves. I think I want a reboot. Yeah, I think I just want a reboot. We don't really have to do an origin story. We can just pretend we know who he is and he has an accent like he's supposed to. I don't know. I think that's better in my opinion because Keanu Reeves is like almost 70, right? If you're going to do one more, I guess it would have to be one more, literally. But I want something done with it. There we go. Small Soldiers. This is the last one. Dude, I've been on this island, I guess, by myself for years, dude, that they could easily make a sequel where Global Tech is an abandoned company at this point, goes bankrupt. It gets all of its assets are bought out by like some other big billionaire company. And basically, while seizing all of Globotech's old assets, they come across a lot of the warehouses where they were building the Gorgonites and the major chip hazards and all the fucking, the commando elites, all that. And they're like, oh, these are cool. We should reactivate this program, not realizing they all had fucking chips put in them and stuff like that. So they end up, hey, we're bringing back an old toy line that never really made it to shelves from the 90s. Like, that's kind of got like a Child's Play vibe to it. But you got to bring back the old characters like Alan, maybe have his old neighbor, played by whatever her name was, Kristen Dunst, the one that I can't stand. She's actually a good actress. She's gotten better, I'll say that. But have her and him come back. Maybe they're married. I don't know. And in some way, they're able to reach out to the Gorgonites. Hey, we need your help. These fucking things are back. However, because it's a new company, they make newer toys. And I think it would be interesting to have the Commando Elite actually team up with the Gorgonites in this one. It would be weird, but it's like, hey, dude, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. We got to take out these other motherfuckers. That's how I think it should be done. And, you got Alan and his wife and mom and dad and the rest of the gang. Obviously, you don't got the Fimples anymore. RIP. Not a joke, just saying. But, dude, where the fuck is this? You can do anything with it. You could probably reboot it and it would still make sense. Like, literally, it's got potential to be a huge property. I'm surprised they haven't done anything with it. But anyway, that is Movies That Need a Sequel Part 2 by yours truly, Tony, on the show. Now, I know there's probably some movies that you were like, hey, what the fuck? Why didn't you mention them? Hey, look, if you said in the comment section this or that and I didn't mention it here, my apologies. I'm actually thinking about making another one because when I made a list like this, dude, especially for the first time or the first round, dude, there was like 100 movies. I'm not even going to lie to you about that. So I think I could really make a small series out of this, like just a little ongoing mini series, if you will. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comment section what you thought. I'm positive some of you thought my pitches were dog shit. I'm positive some of you thought they were retarded. However, yours probably aren't any better. I also would like to know them, though. I really do. I like sharing this information with people. I love talking to other movie geeks like me and picking apart their brain and learning like how they really feel about these characters and these properties and these universes, so on and so forth. But again, thank you guys for watching. I am Tony, and I will see you on the next one. And always remember, folks, to stay ready.